Alrighty folks, I want to take just a minute or two and give you guys kind of a little demonstration of how I play a Tony Rice inspired version of Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which is actually a Gordon Lightfoot tune, I do believe. But anyway, I say inspired because what I would like to do, and probably would encourage most people to do, if there's a version of a song you want to learn that's kind of like the archetypal version or the standard version, there's many ways you can play the same thing as, for example, like what Tony Rice is doing. You can get the same spirit of the melody of the solo that he's doing, while at the same time doing your own thing with it. So it's not a literal note for note transcription. And what that allows you to do is find ways to play it that's more natural to you. You know, Tony himself has often said that he developed his style from trying to play like Clarence White, but couldn't play exactly like Clarence White. So keep that in mind. I mean, you can always learn the note for note versions. There's nothing wrong with that either. That's good study and practice to do. But this is just kind of a quicker way to get there, you know, for you. So I'm going to show you what I came up with as a Tony inspired version of that little ride that he does. Now, it always helps first to know the timing structure of the song and the chord structure. So it is in 3/4 time, and he plays this kind of open A. We're not using a capo because there's one part where we got to get a stretch, and that's always better to practice stretches without a capo, because then when you use a capo, it's even easier. So we have this open A suspended with a B in the treble side there. Then it goes to an E minor 7. 2 measures of each. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. To a G. 1 measure on the G. 1 measure on the D. Then back to that A. So that's a basic chord structure. So on the first couple parts, he's kind of just doing a syncopated kind of a chord punctuation, if you want to call it that. And that first shape that he's doing looks just like this, which is an A minor chord, basically. It's a partial chord of your E minor slid up to an A minor. So if we had E minor, F minor, G minor, A minor, and we're just playing the bottom 4 strings. And we're going to play the open A note above that, kind of in a rest stroke, and then push down through the rest of the strings there. Something about like that. Like I said, don't worry about exact, just try to get it where it kind of has that same feel. Then we're going to go to that E minor 7, which is actually the same chord as a G, technically, except that you have an E in the bass instead of a G note. But we're just playing such a small portion of it here, it's actually the same as a G. And that's kind of based out of our C. You know, if you had a C, D, E, F, G, partial C shape there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit that big A above that too. That just kind of adds some dissonance and keeps referring you back to the tonal center of the song, which is that A. Then I do a little cross picking lick out of there. So we have, and I'll pull off that index finger note right at the end of that. And just real quick, my fingers are at 9, ring finger on the D string, 7, index finger on the G, and 8, middle finger on the B string. So after I do that little cross pick lick, I'll pull off on that index finger note. Then here we have a single line. And what's actually going on here in the melody is very simply this. But the way I found to go around that, which is a little more interesting for me to play, and a little bit easier too for whatever reason, although it wouldn't be for most people, that's kind of referring back to what I said earlier about doing what fits you. I'm going to go, so I do this little, I call it a tickle, it's a hammer pull. 1 pick note, and a hammer followed by a couple pull-offs. So now I'm going to start this stretch I talked about earlier, a slight cross-picking pattern, and that's pointer finger on the D note there on the B string, 3rd fret, pinky up here on the D flat. Is that right? A, B, yeah, D flat note. And so that's my shape. I'm going to play these 3 strings together, and out of kind of a faux cross-picking roll, if you will. I'm going to start with the upstroke on that D note that I'm holding with my index finger. So I'm going to go up, then down on the G string, back up on the B string, down on the E string. Now here's the trickiest part of that whole ride. Without missing an 8th note, whenever you hit that open E, that gives you just enough time to drop that shape, come back and strike your A on the next note. And to do that, you've just hit a downstroke on your E string. You have to cross over the B string and hit an upstroke on that A note. Okay, then at that point, I'm going to come back up and hit that 1st string with an upstroke. Then I'm going to strike that A again, do a pull off, strike the open G again, hit the D string 2nd fret, E note, strike the D string open, then go back to this E flat. So let's see how that would fit in context so I can remember it. Right, so whenever I come back to this E flat, I do a pull off to a C note, then my open A, and that rounds it out. So I'll try to do that all slowly. So anyway, you can see it's different than what Tony did by, quite a margin in some places, but it still retains the spirit of what he was trying to play. So I hope that helps. Like I said, this wasn't to get super detailed or anything, just a quick rundown. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Thanks.